it doesn't mean that this is the last perek we have. I don't know if you noticed.
Okay.
Sometimes on Shabbat, or you hear a sermon for a rabbi, I hope I'm not included, when he said just one small thing, I'm about to, before I finish, you know that you are into trouble. This is going to be long. So here in Perek Chav Gimel, when he says, "Ve'ele divrei David ha'achronim," it's not really the end. He means, I would like them to be, but then in Perek Chav Dalet we have something more than that. So apparently this minhag, and I have something, before we finish, I just want to say something small, is apparently Masoret Atika, ancient tradition, that you don't end just by ending. I have something small to say, you go for another hour, and only then you finish it. So don't take it too seriously. It's not Divrei David Achronim. We are going to see in Perek Chavdalet something else on top of it. Now, I don't want actually to talk about Psukim Aleph ad Zayin, which are very poetic, and basically are a description of David in the eyes of himself. He's a person who was anointed by Hashem himself, a person that with everything that he went through is a tzaddik, and Hashem punished his enemies. But it is written in a very poetic, beautiful, profound way that we are not going to go one by one. Basically, he just tried to summarize everything that he said over Tehillim, that Hashem appointed him, Hashem rewarded him for his righteousness, and punished all his enemies. Where I want to start is in Pasuk Chet. Eile shmot hagiborim asher leDavid. These are the heroes, or the brave people that were around David HaMelech. Yoshev בשבט תחכמוני, ראש השלישי הוא עדינו העצני. So the translation, these are the names of the mighty men who served David. He who sat in the assembly of the wise, the chief of the threesome, he was Adino the Etzenite, who lifted his spear against 800 slain at one time. So who is the head of all the mighty people, the brave people of David? What is his name? Tachkemoni? It's not so clear. It says, Hu Adino Ha'etzni. It's very hard to figure out if it was the name of the person, if it was his description of Tachkemoni. We are going to discuss it in a second. But what we know about him is that he killed 800 people in one time, in one shot, so to speak. The next of the perek is talking about really all the list. We have more than 30 people who were the mighty people around David HaMelech. And you know, it's the end of the life of David HaMelech. You know, when you go lehavdil, elef alfei abdalot, you go to a movie, what do you have at the end of the movie? You have the credits, right? He's a producer, he play this and play that, and the music and the fireworks. Everyone get the credit. So at the end of Yemei David, it's nice that David mentioned also give credit to all the Giborim of David. Because David, it's all nice, but we have to recognize all the people who were around David and fought many of the fights for Am Yisrael. And it's not just to give them credit. We have to remember where David started, where the whole system was paralyzed. Shaul could not fight against the Plishtim. Shaul had generals, Shaul had people, and nevertheless everyone was paralyzed. The chidush, the new thing that David brought with him, was Ruach Hashem. He infused the spirit of Hashem and created a new reality of Giborim, of people who are willing to fight for Am Yisrael, to risk their life. This was not before David appeared on the stage. And therefore, by listing the Giborim, it's not just giving them a credit, which is nice by itself, to recognize that it was not just David. He had a whole system of people who were Giborim and helped him in all his wars. I think the main idea of the Tanakh is to say, see what happened here. We have a whole list of great people, of mighty men, that David inspired. And the most important thing for a leader is to inspire other leaders. A person can be great. If there is no imshechiyut, no continuity, what is the leadership all about? The greatness of David was that wherever he went, he created another layer of Giborim, of people who carried the spirit of Hashem and apply it in the wars, in the relationship with other nations, bringing pride to Am Yisrael. And therefore we are going to list these people that basically were inspired by David HaMelech. So the first one, Rosh HaShalishi hu Adino HaEtzni. We don't know who was this person exactly. We are going to discuss it in a second. But he was Rosh HaShalishi. There is hierarchy here. We are going to see 30-something mighty men, but at the top, there were 3 people. 3 people at the top. One of them is a cousin of David, we are going to see. But the one who was the head, the chief of staff, was Adino HaEtzni, that was famous for killing 800 people in one shot. I have to say that this list appears also in Divrei Hayamim, in Chronicles. And over there, I want just to read you the pasuk. ואלה מספר הגיבורים אשר לדוד, יושבעם בן חכמוני. תחכמוני, חכמוני. יושבעם is not here, it's יושב בשבט. In Divrei Hayamim is יושבעם, which is the name of a person. הוא עורר את חניתו על 300 חלל בפעם אחת. He killed 300 people in one shot. Here is Yoshev B'Shevet, over there it's Yoshve'am. Here is Tachkemoni, over there is Ben Chachmoni. Rosh HaShalishim, which is exactly like here. Here is 800 Chalalim, and over there is 300 Chalalim. Similarities, but differences too. And this gave lots of trouble to Mefarshei Tanakh. And therefore some people say, yeah, I'll tell you what's the difference. Divrei Hayamim was not written by David Vesiato. They were written later. They wrote the truth. David HaMelech, as I said once by the name of Churchill, that the history is going to be very generous to him because he is going to write it. So they say David HaMelech wrote his own history for, so why 300? It was 800. It sounds even better. The truth is that it might be that both of them are true. You know, what happened in a war, many, many times, is that once you kill the core enemy, where he's like in a bunker, this allows you to go ahead. And this is a beautiful perush of the Radak, which is very, very true. He said, the person himself, this Tachkemoni, he killed 300 people. But by killing them, the 300 people, it allowed the other parts of the army, the other soldiers, to come and to kill all the rest. If he wouldn't kill these 300, there was no ability to kill all the rest. And therefore, both psukim are true. The person himself killed 300, that is said in Divrei Hayamim, who orer et chanito, with his own weapons. He killed 300 with his weapon. Here it says that he killed al 800 halal. He doesn't say he killed 800. It says on 800 halal. Interesting perush of the Radak. They obviously want to make shalom between Shmuel and Divrei Hayamim and not to go to ideas that maybe it's two writers, two different people, whatever it is. Which is interesting, which is which can be even true, as I say.
Excuse me, why does the leader, why do we consider the leader the one who has to kill all the people? Why can't he just be somebody who has good strategy to get it done?
I thought a lot about this question. This is very violent. In the, believe it or not, when the Turks, until the First World War, you know how they decorated themselves? They used to take the heads of the people they killed, they had a process to shrink it, and they decorated their horses with little skulls of their enemies. This was the decoration, the ornaments, they put on the tree. These were the ornaments. A person used to go with 20, and everyone looks like he was once a human being. And this sounds like 800, 300, what is it? It's so not Jewish, right? So it really troubled me, this question about 300, 800. Who cares? This is not what we want to remember the Giborim by. But again, I go back, and that's what inspired me to think that the whole story here about the Giborim is to show the greatness of David, how you can inspire people. And think about the wars of the old times. It's not like today. Today you shot a bomb from a tank and you kill many, many people if you just did it right. The wars at this time was with a great risk. You had to go from one to another to kill them. And think about the numbers. You really had to be completely devoted to take all the risk, because what is the chance of one person to kill few people? Very little. Very, very little. We are going to see in a second the strategy of the Plishtim, and you will see that it was even harder than you think. So by counting the people they killed, it's not really about, he killed 300, he killed 800. It was more about the spirit they had when they went to war. They understood why they went to war, and the number of the people they killed just is kind of evident indication to the great spirit when these Giborim went to war, which is all attributed to the greatness of David who inspired them. That's the way I understand it, because otherwise, as I said, we don't want to remember them this way. However, the Gemara and Chachamim, and maybe later in the lesson I will try to understand where it comes from, they have a very interesting explanation to the Pasuk, ראש השלישי, אלה שמות הגיבורים אשר לדוד, יושב בשבט תחכמוני, ראש השלישי הוא עדינו העצני. So it sounds like ראש השלישי was עדינו העצני. But Chachamim in the Gemara, in Masechet Moed Katan, say, you know who is עדינו העצני? עדינו העצני is the one on the top of the system, the king himself. It's the name of David HaMelech. I already said that it might be that David HaMelech himself, at his time, had a different name. Remember the story about who killed Goliath HaPlishti, right? In Perek Chaf Aleph, it says someone different than David. And then I suggested that maybe his real name was Elchanan or Elnatan, as it appears in Divrei Hayamim. And David was a later name which came from the idea of Dod. If you were in my shiur, I said that Shlomo HaMelech, when he wrote about the Dod in Shir HaShirim, he talks about his father. About his father, which his yearning was to bring Hashem to his house, the Beit HaMikdash, and he was not able to do it. The whole Shir HaShirim is a very tragic try actually, of unification of the future husband and the wife, and it's not working. There is a gap that was not reached over Shir HaShirim. Everyone knows that Shir HaShirim is a love story, but it's a very tragic love that never fulfilled. And apparently Shlomo HaMelech wrote it as a tribute to his father, to the dod who wants to bring the Shechina to the house and Hashem doesn't let him. Hashem said, you are not going to do it, Shlomo, your son, is going to do it. And therefore it might be that David come from the word dod in Shir HaShirim. This is a very unique perush. I think I heard it by the name of Rav Yoel Bin-Nun, who quoted someone else. And it's possible that indeed he had some other names known to the people and not necessarily David. But the Tanakh is not a story about people. The Tanakh is a story about ideas and people who carry ideas. What is Adino Ha'etzni? It's very interesting. Adin comes from gentle. Adin is gentle. Etzni comes from etz, wood, which is hard. So we have something which is gentle and strong and tough and rigid. Adino ha'etzni. And Chachamim say this is a perfect description to David HaMelech himself. David HaMelech has two sides in his personality. When he comes to Tehillim, he's gentle. His relationship with God is not coming like a big shot. He's like talking to God so softly. When he goes to a war, it's a completely different story. When he goes to a war, he's ha'etzni. He's like tough, like a wood, like Erez Balvanon. What is Beshevet Achkemoni? So Chachamim say the following midrash, which is a beautiful midrash. They say the following: Beshevet Achkemoni. So I'll say first the midrash, and then I will try to explain it a little bit. Yoshev Beshevet. What is Yoshev Beshevet? Yoshev, of course. Mother Beshevet. Beshevet is again Yoshev. He had a special way of yeshiva, David HaMelech. You know, David HaMelech was a student of Ira HaYairi. A person was a great Talmid Chacham. And David HaMelech, when he came to Ira, that's what the name of the person who mentioned in Divrei Yamin, he was sitting like any other student. He was a king already, but he was sitting with everyone else on the floor in front of the Rav. And the Rav used to sit on karim uksatot. He had the sofa, a chair, pillows, and he delivered the shir. David HaMelech, the king, was sitting like any other student on the floor, and the Rav, Ira, used to deliver the shir sitting on a chair. One day, Ira passed away. They looked who is going to be the next rabbi. David HaMelech. Not because he was a king. He was the greatest scholar of Torah too. And David refused to sit on karim uksatot. He said, my Rebbe could do it. I am not going to do it. I'm going to continue to deliver my shiurim on the floor. So Hashem said, wow, you are so modest. You are kamoni, tachkemoni. You are like me. And therefore, I promise you that everything that you are going to ask is going to be fulfilled. That's the power of Tehillim. If you say that Tefillot of Tehillim, everything that you are asking for is going to be fulfilled. And this is Adino Ha'etzni. The Chazal say when he was sitting in and learning Torah, Me'aden atzmo ketolat, he was like gentle like a worm, with no any bone inside. However, when he was going to a war, Haya makshe atzmo ke'etz, he became like a tough wood. Now, this is really an interesting midrash. And I'll tell you why. It's really important. Because I thought about it quite a lot. This is a time of Rabbi Abba. This is a time of Amoraim. You know, you have to create your heroes. And many times we create our heroes the way we live our life. This is a time that people were sitting like the main focus is the time of the Romans. Rabbi Abba lived at the time of the Romans after the destruction, and it was a time devoted to bring back the power of Torah to the people. There is no Beit HaMikdash anymore. People are like all over the world. People arrived already to Babel. People started to go to Europe, to Italy, in Eretz Israel there was few thousands people, that's it. And they tried to rebuild the Torah. Think about the time after the Holocaust, for example. Like time with no Torah. You go to the Tanakh and you try to create the heroes of Tanakh in a way of what you want the heroes of today to look like. So David HaMelech, that we read about his wars, about his fights, struggles, moral issues, he disappeared. He became here a Talmid Chacham, a Rosh Yeshiva. Now, I'm not saying that we politicize the image of David HaMelech. In a way, it is. Like they wanted to develop David HaMelech to be a hero for the 3rd century when Rabbi Abau lived, or the 4th century. So you cannot talk about heroes which are like fighting. This is very dangerous, number one, against the Romans. And number two, this is not the focus of the day. The focus of the day is to create a new center of Torah. Rabbi Abau, by the way, he lived in Caesarea. Why in Caesarea? Because this was the center. Money was there, people came there, and he became the rabbi of Caesarea. Can you imagine that you will start describing David HaMelech as the hero who is going to fight, and someone will start thinking about going and stabbing soldiers of Rome in the markets of Caesarea? It's impossible. However, I think that there is a greater idea here why Chachamim read the story, or at least even tell the story, the way they told it, and we are going to see it in a second. The psukim themselves are going to support this idea of Chachamim that maybe was a little bit stretched, but there is lots of evidence in the psukim that we are going to see to understand where Chachamim came with this fantastic image of David that seems to be not supported by the psukim themselves. So I just want you to see this one, because we are going to go to the next fascinating part of the Talmud as he learned this perek, in the following psukim. So just right now, bear in mind, later we are going to discuss it. V'acharav, after this head of the Shalishim, that according to Chachamim is David HaMelech himself, was Elazar ben Dodo, ben Achochi, a person who was a cousin of David, בשלושה גיבורים עם דוד, בחורפם בפלישתים, נאספו שם למלחמה ויעלו איש ישראל. So there was a war with the Plishtim, we don't know which one of them, and he was one of the 3 that joined David in order to fight against the Plishtim. הוקם ויח בפלישתים, he was the one, אלעזר בן דודו, second in command. עד כי יגעה ידו, ותדבק ידו אל החרב. All day long, he held the sword until it became part of him. Namely, it was a whole day fight. Now, if you saw in one of the museums, these swords, they are heavy. It's not easy to hold them for a long time. Heavy, long, and the Tanakh want to tell us how intense was the war, that he held the cherub, he was able to hold the cherub all day long until he couldn't even separate his fingers from the sword. ויעש השם תשועה גדולה ביום ההוא, והעם ישבו אחריו אך לפשט. So he actually won the war. The people who came after him just came to take the goods from the people who were killed. The shalal. Right. So this was the second one. By the way, we don't know what was this war. That's an interesting thing here, that we learn about all kinds of wars that are not mentioned in the Tanakh. And the reason is, the Tanakh is not interested in the wars themselves unless the war come to teach us something. So here we just see that there was an incredible war, and 3 people with David HaMelech managed to determine the results of the war, and the other people just came after them. ואחריו, number 3, שמע בן אגי ההררי, ויאספו פלישתים לחיה. The Plishtim gathered to Chaya. How we explain it? Plishtim. Now the Philistines were gathered together into a troop. I will explain what that means in a second. ותהי שם חלקת השדה מלאה עדשים. There was a field full with lentils. והעם נס מפני פלישתים. So here the interesting story about Shama ben Agay, and the Plishtim gathered to Chaya. There was a field with Adashim, like it's important. והעם נס מפני פלישתים. So what is he doing? Pasuk Yud Bet. So he comes to the field, Vayatzila, he saved the lentils. Whoa. ויח את פלישתים, ויעש השם תשועה גדולה. So again, there was a תשועה גדולה. But why do we care if it was with Adashim or not? By the way, in דברי הימים, I want to read the following pasuk. הוא היה עם דוד בפס דמים, שמע בן אגי, והפלישתים נאספו שם למלחמה, ותהי חלקת השדה מלאה שעורים. It was full with barley. ויכו את פלישתים, ויושע השם תשועה גדולה. Everything is the same, but the lentils somehow was traded for barley.
Arbus.
What?
Arbus.
Arbes, yeah. They didn't like arbes, so it became seorim.
Yeah, there's שלוש סעודות.
They had a Sholem Zocher for a night, so it was Adashim.
Adashim, lentils aren't, arbus is chickpeas.
Arbes, yeah, it's
something else.
Adashim is all the kitniot in the Lashon of the Tanakh. Yeah.
It's not Adashim.
Arbes is hummus, right?
Right.
You know, it's very interesting. When you were in Israel, הלכתם לנגב חומוס. You know what is לנגב חומוס?
No.
לנגב חומוס, like if you go to Israel, there is חומוסייה. Like you have the falafel and hummus, and they give you a pita and מנגבים את הצלחת.
Yeah.
Like some people are doing it so well that they don't even take it to the dishwasher. It's like, it's completely clean. But it's very interesting, because what is hummus really? Hummus is come from the word chometz. It's not chametz, don't worry. Maybe to the Ashkenazim, but to the Sephardim. But it's really, if you leave it for too long, it became chamutz. It became chamutz. And it's very interesting, in Sefer Ruth, he say to her, "V'tavalt pitech b'chometz." B'chometz. Who is like taking the pita and put it in the chometz, in the vinegar? No one is eating it. It's not good for digestion. But the pshat is, "V'tavalt pitech b'chometz." It's hummus.
Mm-hmm.
The name in Arabic of hummus is what used to be chometz in Ivrit. So by us, chometz is like vinegar, but really the real chometz is a hummus that they kept the name in Arabic, v'taval piter b'chometz, like exactly as we do today in the hummusiya. He say to her, take the pat, take the pita, and put it in the hummus. So this is lentils and seorim. Chachamim say the following, and it's incredible piece of Talmud, that indeed what happened was there were two sadot, one of Adashim, one of Seurim. One belonged to the Jewish people, one belonged to the Plishtim. In other words, the two psukim are right. The Sadeh, if you took a look, an aerial view, you could see that part of the Sadeh was Seurim, and part of the Sadeh was Adashim. This was a place, according to Chachamim, that was a border between the Plishtim and the Jews. Now, Chachamim goes I told you already that they make David HaMelech Rosh Yeshiva. Forget about his being a fighter. He's the Rosh Yeshiva. He's Adino Ha'etzni. And Chachamim say that this pasuk come to teach you what happened in this field. Two opinions. First opinion, David HaMelech knew that the Plishtim is inside the field. So he had an incredible idea. He's going to burn the field and to burn the Plishtim inside. But he had a problem. What was the problem? In the classic language of the Talmud, it's called Ma'u sheyatzil atzmo b'mamon chavero. Are you allowed to save your own life with property that belongs to someone else? According to Rashi, it's a real question. Let's say that you lost your brakes and the only way is to stop the car by going into someone's field and to ruin the whole field or the garden. David HaMelech asks the Chachamim, can I do it, yes or not? Can I burn the field which belongs to a Jew, or part of the thing, in order to save my Chayalim? So the Tosfot, they say, he said on Rashi, of course you can. What's the question here? The question was, should he pay afterwards, yes or not? So they make him like, like in the middle of the war, wait a second, we have to go and to ask Chachamim, can we burn the Adashim or the Seorim over there in order to save the life of soldiers? No, so say Tosfot, no, it's not to save, of course you are allowed, it's Pikuach Nefesh, what's the question? The question was, should he pay afterwards or not? So David HaMelech was very troubled, am I going to pay or not? So he wanted to know before that, and he sent the letter to Chachamim. The other one said, but it doesn't solve the problem of Adashim and Seorim. So he said, no, David HaMelech asked a very different question. The question was, can he promise the people that had the Seorim, listen, I'm going to burn your field in order to get the Plishtim, and later I'm going to pay you with the Adashim of the Plishtim. So is he allowed to offer something like this to replace the Seorim, to burn them down with the mind to give them the Seorim? So Chachamim said, you know what, you are not allowed, but I'll tell you what, since you are the king can do everything he wants. So they told him, yeah, if you ask too many questions about like the halacha, let me tell you, if someone will come to us and ask the question, we will say, no, you cannot save your life with the mammon of someone else, or you do have to pay, you cannot swap the Adashim for Seorim, but you are a king anyway, do whatever. Now, what Chachamim are telling us here? It sounds so silly. The whole situation, you are fighting against the Plishtim. Sometimes I try to think like a war, and for anyone who was in the war, let me tell you, you don't think about anything, just about like saving your life and to try to do the best you can. And here in the middle of the war against Plishtim, Chazal are telling us that David HaMelech started to ask all kind of questions and sent to Chazal, am I allowed to do it, not allowed to do it? I told you a few times that the last parakim of Shmuel are not chronological. We don't know exactly when it happened, and it might well be that this was at the time that David HaMelech was not recognized as a king yet. And then it's a big question. What Chachamim are telling us, it was the time of question. David HaMelech knew that as a king he can do whatever he wants. A king don't ask questions. But apparently Chachamim want to highlight the fact that this story is happening at the twilight, at the time where it's not so clear if he was a king, because you remember all these times that he already was crowned by Shmuel, but the people did not recognize it. Remember the famous story about Naval HaKarmeli that we discussed. Naval HaKarmeli, for him, David HaMelech was just a gangster. David knew already that he is a king. And it might be that Chachamim are describing here a time where David HaMelech did not know if he is at a position of a king, he can do whatever he wants, or he is still a citizen. And the citizen cannot decide upon certain things if he is not asking permission from the authority. So Chachamim by this Perush want to bring us back to the times that David HaMelech was in between. And this will shed light on the stories afterwards. Let's see Pasuk Yud Gimel for example. וירדו שלושה מהשלישים ראש, so 3 of the great people came with him, ויבואו אל קציר אל דוד אל מערת אדולם, וחיית פלישתים חונה בעמק רפאים. עמק רפאים, we talked about, a lot about it in Yerushalayim. Now, what is חיית פלישתים? The Plishtim were very successful because their way they conducted their wars. They had a very smart strategy. You know how animals sometimes, like the dingoes or the wolves, they attack. They don't do it one by one. They have a strategy where many animals are working as a team to attack one victim, one animal. Chayat Plishtim mean they worked in the same strategy. Unlike many wars that was like against the other, they used to conduct their wars when they used to surround it around their victim from all sides. So if one side was weaker, the other came from the other side and attacked. And this way they won every war. They trained themselves and they were very, very successful. The Philistines managed to conquer major parts of Eretz Israel, parts of Egypt today, and this was their strategy. So Chayat Plishtim means the way, the strategy that they used to come as a pack of wolves. That's what they did, and therefore Shaul did not know how he can win against them. This will explain us how great was the power of this Giborim of David, that although they faced a completely new way of war, they managed nevertheless to fight against them and to be victorious. ודוד אז במצודה ומצא פלישתים אז בית לחם. We are talking about the first days, maybe of Shaul even. When do we remember the Plishtim in Beit Lechem? Not at the time of Shaul already. So we are talking about the times that indeed David just appears on the stage. So these psukim are talking about the days way before David was crowned as a king. And as I said, you can see already that even apparently before the war against Goliath, David HaMelech managed to, David, not the Melech yet, managed to infuse a special spirit in the people around him. And here is the following story. Vayit'aveh David. When David was there, he had a ta'ava. We are going to see what does that mean. Mi yashkeni mayim mibor Beit Lechem asher bashar. The Tanakh here tells us for the first time that at a certain point, Beit Lechem was conquered by the Plishtim. And David remembered as a child the bore of Beit Lechem, and he said, I wish we could bring water from the bore of Beit Lechem. Which means, I wish we will be able to conquer back Beit Lechem. Now I want to remind you, do you remember what David HaMelech did to his family at the time of Shaul? He took them from Beit Lechem, he crossed the Jordan and went to Moab. Remember that? And since then we don't hear about the family, and according to Chazal, Melech Moab actually killed them, the entire family of David. But this was apparently the time where the Plishtim were able to take over Beit Lechem. So David HaMelech wanted this time, when he's not a king yet, actually it's just the beginning of his career, he wants mayim from the bore in Beit Lechem. The people around him hearing that, ויבקעו שלושת הגיבורים במחנה פלישתים. He had 3 people around him, גיבורים. They hear what the leader want, what their officer want. David never asked them to go and bring. He just say, I wish I could drink water from the bore in Beit Lechem. But these people took the wish of David as the command. וישאבו מים מבור בית לחם אשר בשער. We can imagine that it was not an easy task to get into the מחנה of פלישתים, to get to the bore of Beit Lechem and to manage to bring water. ויסעו, they carried it in a bucket, ויבואו אל דוד. They showed him, you asked us, you wanted water from Beit Lechem, here it is. In other words, we are able to do it. We will conquer back Beit Lechem. We can do it. ולא אהבה דוד לשתותם. David said, I'm not going to drink this water. ויסך אותם להשם. He poured the water in front of Hashem. He said, I cannot drink this water. Why? ויאמר חלילה לי, השם מעשותי זאת. I will never do something like this. הדם האנשים ההולכים בנפשותם, the people who brought the water, they risk their life. If I would know for a second that these people are going to risk their life, I would never allow them to go there. For me, it's not water. For me, it's the blood of these people. ולא אהבה לשתותם. He didn't want to drink them. אלה עשו שלושת הגיבורים. These are the 3 גיבורים which you can see what גבורה, a place conquered by the פלישתים, no one is able to get there, but these 3 גיבורים made it. They went, maybe at night time, maybe they had to kill some guards of the פלישתים, and they got the water from Beit Lechem, the water from Beit Lechem.
I have a question.
Yes.
who are the shlosha? If you say that Adoni, or whatever is called, Adino, is David, there's only 2 Giborim.
So indeed it said, ויצאו, וירדו 3 מהשלושים. It doesn't say necessarily that it were the one before. Why it says וירדו 3? Why doesn't say וירדו 3 and it says וירדו 3 מהשלושים? So the Radak says something beautiful. He said actually everyone could do it. It says 3 מהשלישים. Everyone from the shloshim was able to do it. But these people jumped into the mission. So, everyone was able to do something like this, but these 3, they were the one who were not just the talkers, they actually went and brought the water. This is already, I believe, a sign of maturity of David. Many times, especially gangsters, they don't care about the life of their soldiers. For David, it was a number 1 issue, especially after he ran away from Shaul and he saw the disaster in Nov. How a mistake of the leader can bring a terrible price. Because he asked for the cherev of Goliath and the lechem, he caused unknowingly, unwittingly, the killing of all the people of Nov. From this moment on, David is very, very careful about the life of his soldiers. And this is a prime example. But what is vayasech otam laHashem? Now this is very interesting. Where do we find in the Tanakh that people pour water in front of Hashem? Nisuch hamayim in Sukkot, very good, very good. Nisuch hamayim in Sukkot, there is a mitzvah unique for Sukkot, obviously only at the time of Beit HaMikdash, that you pour water every night on the Mizbeach. This is Nisuch hamayim. But there is a famous story about Nisuch hamayim. It's actually in Melachim Bet, by Eliyahu Navi. Everyone knows the story on Har HaKarmel. Eliyahu Navi fights the Nevi'ei Abal. And it says that Eliyahu took 12 buckets of water he poured them on the sacrifices, and then light or fire from heaven came and consumed the korban on our Carmel. So it says also that David HaMelech was menasech, he was menasech et hamayim lifnei Hashem. What did that mean, the idea of nisuch hamayim? What did that mean? If indeed, as I explained, this was the bedtime of David HaMelech, before he was a king, and he said that he want water from the bowl of Beit Lechem. What did it mean really about the situation in the camp of David? Why a person will say, oh, I would like now to drink Perrier or to drink Coca-Cola? Why a person should say something like this? Why David HaMelech said, oh God, I wish I could drink now cold water from Beit Lechem?
The rations were low.
נכון מאוד. There was no water. You know, and remember the time of going to Navala Carmeli, no food, no water. They were dependent on gifts from people that they guarded their animals. You're right. A person think about, when we think about, I wish I would have here like cold Coca-Cola, it's when we're really thirsty and we really want to drink, and David HaMelech was in a situation like this. Can you imagine now he got the water from Beit Lechem? I cannot drink that. What kind of self-discipline? He cannot drink the water that he really wanted to drink. And what is he doing? He poured the water. Crazy. He poured the water. Water are scarce. We need the water. Lifnei Hashem. You know what? When was the story with Eliyahu and Nevi'ei Abal? It came at the end of 3 years of drought, of hunger in Eretz Israel. And Eliyahu tells Achav, the king, you should know you are responsible for this hunger because you allow people the Avodah Zarah, and therefore Hashem punished us for 3 years, no water, no rain. How Eliyahu fixed the problem? He decided to make an event of Kiddush Hashem. He will show everyone that the fire from heaven is going to eat the korban. But before that, he take the water, the little water that is there, and he pour on the korbanot. An act of absolute bitachon b'Hashem. You know, many people give tzedakah, but how many people will open their wallet when it's the end of the month, they're already in debt, they don't have money? You have to be a great person in a situation of shortage to give tzedakah to someone else. Pouring water at the time where you have no water is a great belief.
Doesn't water have a particularly holy or some sort of meaning?
The meaning, the simple meaning in the Tanakh to water is equal life. It's life. And when you pour the water when you don't have them, it shows an absolute dependency on God. You don't waste your last drops of water if you don't believe that as a result, Hashem is going to save you. That's what happened at the time of Eliyahu. He said, I have such a bitachon, such belief in Hashem, that after doing that, and the nation is going to see that Hashem hu Elokim, and they screamed, Hashem is going to give rain. David HaMelech says, in this situation, I'm going to pour the water because this is an act of belief. I know that Hashem is going to rescue us. Hashem is going to help us. I'm showing my ultimate bitachon in Hashem by pouring the water. And you know, the more I think about it, I never thought about it, only when I read these psukim about the Nisuch HaMayim in Sukkot. Why are we doing Nisuch HaMayim in Sukkot? We never think about it because we don't live in these days. You know what happened in Sukkot? Sukkot happened at the end of the summer, before you have rain in Eretz Israel. If you go, you happen to be in Yerushalayim, Atika, or Batei Ungarin, you know, all the places that were built by in the beginning of the 19th century in Yerushalayim, they have borot. They still have borot. The rain is running into the bore and fill it. I don't think that the municipality allow people to use the water. I wouldn't recommend it, but in the old times, that's what they used to do. In the time of Sukkot, there are no water anymore. No water. And I think that the act of Nisuch HaMayim on Sukkot comes to show, although we don't have water anymore, we pour it on the Mizbeach because we have absolute trust in Hashem that the next winter He will give us rain. It's again, the whole idea of Nisuch HaMayim is kind of act of showing an absolute trust in Hashem that our tefillot are going to be answered. I never thought about it because to me Nisuch HaMayim, yeah, it's before the time of Geshem, but I never thought actually it's a time of shortage of water. You have to be crazy in order to pour the last drops of water that you have, unless you know that these are actually like the coin that you put in the machine in order to get the water coming from heaven. And for this, you have to have a great emunah and bitachon, and that's exactly what David is doing. He's showing to his soldiers, I'm sure, 100%, that Hashem is going to send His Yeshua to us. What an act of inspiring people around you, and it's not simple. Vayavkiu, where we are now. I'll tell you what we are going to do. Let's go quickly over the. Okay, so we have here a list of the Giborim. We are not going to go over each one of them. I just want to say the following. Interestingly enough, one name disappeared. Who is the second in command that you would expect to find as one of the Giborim of David? Yoav. Yoav is not in the list at all. Yoav, the person who actually saved David and was all about David, is not here. And this confuses me, very much the commentators who are not sure why Yoav's name disappeared. Any idea?
Didn't Joab leave David's side for a while? Went over.
So most of them
Did he have
tend
another
to
name?
say they started to censor his name. David was very angry with Yoav, with everything that he did to him and the people he killed for no reason, or reasonable reason. And therefore, in order to show that David was not happy with the morality of Yoav, he was out of the list. A little bit hard to accept it. And therefore Rashi himself said, well, the name of Yoav does not have to be mentioned here because it's so clear that he was the second in command. You just have to tell about the people that you never heard their name before. But obviously Yoav was actually the second in command to David HaMelech, and there is no point to mention him because everyone knows about him. So you can see how the two Mefarshim goes about Yoav. One says, of course, Yoav, you don't have even to mention his name. It's so clear. The other one says, no, there is a kavanah here. Actually, we want to minimize the name of Yoav to show the contempt of David to Yoav at the end of his life. And indeed, Shlomo Melech just finished the work and killed him. The interesting thing is, which we didn't know before, is the last Gibor. Uriah Hitti Kol 37. We all knew that Uriah Hitti was one of the important soldiers of David HaMelech. But you never knew that he was one of the 37 chief of staff. He was one of the alufim. He was not just a great soldier. And he ends the list of Giborim of David. Now I want to tell you, in Divrei Yamim, the list goes on. There are another 8 people that apparently were after the time of Uriah, because after Uriah, David lived for another 12, 11 years. So he had other people that were the Giborim of David. But it's interesting that it ends here with Uriah Hitti. And it sounds like a clap on the table. Uriah Hitti, with all the association that comes with this name. Like, and I don't want to continue the list, because this story is a major one. And everything that happened to David is a result of what happened with Uriah Hitti. So it's a very, it's a literary trick, how to show us, if you just thought until now that Uriah Hitti was a soldier, a brave soldier, you should know something that you didn't know so far. Uriah Hitti was one of the Giborim Asher LeDavid, and this sends us back to reflect upon this story. I think it's a very powerful statement that leave you like shocked for a purpose. For a purpose. Yeah. Next time, as I said, you know, it said here, Ele divrei David ha'achronim, like the words of the rabbi, the last words of the rabbi, which ensure you a very interesting perek as perek Chavdalet, and then we will have to decide after perek Chavdalet what we are going to do. If we are going to Melachim or not, we will have to think about it. Let's hope that we will hear good news from our friend, Mr. Foreman, and only besorot tovot. Until then, thank you very much.
Thank you.